Welcome back, warrior. I just want to read Ruth chapter 4 to end our Ruth, because we're like still in it. Okay. So the nearest relative declines, and Boaz takes Ruth to wife. Ruth bears Obed, through whom came David the king. Oh, such good news. Okay. So when Boaz up to the gate and sat him down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city, and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. Okay, so it sounded like he was trying to give him like a really great opportunity. Like, look, there's all this land. Do you want to buy it? And he's like, sure, I'll buy it. And then he's like, but if you do buy it, you also have to buy it with Ruth, right? And then he's like, whoa. Take it easy. I'm not trying to do all that. So then he's like, no, you just buy it. It's fine, So, but I thought that it was interesting that instead of approaching him like, do you want her? It's more like, do you want the land first? Now, and you might think that's rude. How come he didn't mention her first? Well, in my opinion, I think the way he approached it was businesslike, and he didn't want to put Ruth first, maybe because he thought she was too cute and he didn't want to be like, hey, do you want to marry Ruth? Because he would be like, oh, yeah, maybe, and she will come with land that you can purchase, kind of thing, right? And so to me, it means that he really did like her. So he was trying to approach it backwards. Like, hey, look, there's all this land. Did you want to buy it? Okay. Well, in that, you're also going to have to buy it from Ruth or with Ruth or however that worked, right? Or buy it from Ruth. And so he's like, wait, never mind, right? So let's see. So the kinsman came and was first offered a piece of the land that Elimelech owned, and Naomi was now selling. Okay. So the law was that if any Israelite was in poverty and needed to sell land, then the nearest kinsman could purchase it. So Boaz proposed this and explained that if the kinsman did not want it, then Boaz was next in line and would redeem it. The nearer kinsman declared, I will redeem it. So Boaz explained that there were further conditions which involved the purchasing or marrying of Ruth and raising up a son in the name of the dead upon his inheritance. The kinsman then explained that he could not afford to do this, lest he mars his own inheritance. So he understood that if he married Ruth and she had a son, then the property would only be his, for it would soon go to the son. This helps us see, once again, the generous nature of Boaz and his immediate willingness to marry Ruth. It's true. She was awesome enough that he was willing to sacrifice all that for her. Isn't that amazing? So, okay, and then verse 7. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor. And this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, ye are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his place. Ye are witnesses this day. Oh, that's why they brought in all those people. I was like, why are so many people there? So that they could be witnesses, you know? And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. So now he was not only rich, he was now super rich because he had all of Naomi's land. And but he was able to buy it, is what is interesting about that, is that he was wealthy enough to be able to buy all three of those guys' lands that died, and marry Ruth. So super awesome. And let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. Okay, so Boaz, now the rightful and lawful heir, had witnesses, and everything had been done in proper and lawful order. The witnesses then say to Boaz, that to make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, right? It is not clear whether this was a prophetic statement or a blessing commonly given when two were married, but none were more worthy of this blessing than Ruth and Boaz, and to none could it be more true. Okay. Good morning. So now it's super cute because Ruth likes Boaz and Boaz likes Ruth. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the women said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child, and laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it. Oh, wow. So that is, I'm so confused right now. What? Okay, so Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it. So she, let's keep reading to find out. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez begat Hezron. Oh wait, hold on. We're not going to read that yet. So we're at verse 17. Okay, so what? We need further explanation in English. So it says, Ruth and Boaz then had a son, and the women of the village rejoiced and said to Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name be famous in Israel. It appears that the kinsman spoken in this verse is the child. Ruth and Boaz's son was named Obed. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse became the father of David, the same David who slew Goliath and who became the king of Israel. Then from David came the royal Davidic line, and later prophets after Ruth prophesied of the Messiah being born through this line. So from Boaz and Ruth came the Messiah. What a beautiful honor for this blessed couple. If you look at Matthew 1, you will see that Matthew began his record by tracing the lineage of Jesus Christ through Joseph. Although Joseph was not his literal father, he was his legal father, and therefore Jesus was Joseph's birthright son. If you look at Matthew 1, you will find Boaz's name seen as Booz in verse 5, and then you will see Obed's name, Jesse's name, and then David the king. Elder James E. Talmage said this of the importance of his royal lineage. Okay, wait, why aren't we addressing the whole parenting thing of Naomi? Okay, it's fine. Elder James E. Talmage said this. Matthew's account in that of the royal lineage, the all-important fact to be remembered is that Christ would be born in the royal line. Okay, 4% left on my iPad here. Had Judah been a free and independent nation ruled by her rightful sovereign, Joseph the carpenter would have been her crowned king, and his lawful successor to the throne would have been Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. Although Joseph was not Jesus' natural father, he was considered his legal father. Joseph's title would have passed to Jesus, his eldest son, under Jewish law. James E. Talmage. Oh, that is so cool. It's found in Jesus the Christ book, page 81. So look at the blessings that came to all involved in this story. Ruth and Boaz, look at the blessing brought to Naomi's family. Her husband and sons, who died so prematurely, now have names known to billions of people. Ruth and Boaz made choices that blessed generations and are still blessing generations. What a great example to us on how our choices impact far more than ourselves. Aline H. Clyde said, Ruth confidently met hardships not uncommon in our time, the death of a loved one, loneliness in the new place, and the need to work hard for her bread. Her small efforts linked significantly to a later great event. Tell me that each of us can take seriously the importance of our daily lives and decisions as we choose to follow God. End quote. Confidence Through Conversion, October 1992 General Conference, Aline H. Clyde. Okay, so then we have the rest of the verses. I want to make sure I read the rest of the verses so that my battery doesn't run out. So verse 18. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez being Hezron, begat Hezron, and Hezron begat Ram, and Ram begat Aminadab, and Aminadab begat Nahshon, and Nahshon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David, meaning King David. Okay, so something that I would love to uncover is how that son was laid in the bosom and she became a nurse unto it. Now, as in Naomi, because it was Ruth that married Boaz, and so wouldn't Ruth be the one nursing it? Now I might be thinking nursing like breastfeeding, or maybe Naomi just took the child and nursed it like as in she's the grandma, and so she's loving on her grandbaby. I don't know. Or was it that Naomi actually breastfed this child? I don't even know. I don't even know how that works, and maybe I should look that up because it feels very confusing. Okay, so I found some kind of small explanation, which I kind of like. So this says that sometimes there's confusion about the relationship of a child born in a Levirate marriage and the parents who are involved. Did the baby Obed become Naomi's baby to raise? Did Ruth just give up her son because that's what was expected of her? Was laying the baby on her lap her way of showing that she had adopted him? No, Ruth's baby belonged to Ruth, but Naomi was going to take an active role in helping to raise the baby as any grandmother would in their culture. Naomi could not nurse the baby, although, I don't know, the Lord can do whatever he wants, but she could help a great deal carrying him and caring for him the way Moses describes himself, acting like a nurse for all Israel, carrying them in his arms to the promised land, which that is found in Numbers 11:12. So although the King James Version has, she nursed him at the end of the verse, the NIV and other translations more properly say she cared for him. And Moses' mother is given the baby to breast. Okay, so in Exodus 2:9, Moses' mother is given the baby to breastfeed, and there we are told she nursed him. The Hebrew term for breastfeeding is nuk, from which I suppose we get our present term nuke for the baby's pacifier. Naomi task, on the other hand, was to aman, or support, make strong the baby. This is more in line with the role of a grandma in a household like that of Ruth and Boaz. Oh, see, that makes more sense. And then it's interesting that the neighborhood ladies get involved to such a degree that they actually named the baby. What? Another scene like this in scripture in the naming of John the Baptist, when the neighbors came from his circumcision and naming are surprised by the parents' choice. There is no one among your relatives who has that name. In that case, Elizabeth and Zechariah held their ground. Here, however, Ruth and Boaz are fine with letting the boy be named Obed, which means servant. Obed's entrance into the people of Israel is passed over with little comment. His naming took place, and normally this was done in connection with his circumcision, as was the case with Jesus in Luke chapter 2, verse 21. For us, circumcision is no longer the entry point into the church, since the law of circumcision is no longer binding, right? It's no longer like a thing that we do. And then it's not a thing that is required. Obviously, for health reasons, now that's what people do. It is baptism, which is how you enter the kingdom of heaven, right? So anyway, I think that is so interesting. And that helps me understand that, yes, it was not that Naomi all of a sudden started nursing it in real life, but that she was caring for it like a nurse would, right? So anyway, that is super cool. And then there is some thought starters. It says, in what ways would you like to be more like Ruth or like Boaz? What does this story teach you about the importance and long-term impact of our choices? Okay, until 1 Samuel chapter 1, stay strong, warrior.